And it's not only the Filipinas who are giving local sports fans a source of Pinoy pride. Our guest tonight is also blazing the trail for the country in the world of motorsports. Joining us for an all-out conversation is F1 Academy racer Bianca Bustamante. Good evening, Bianca.
Hello, good evening po.
Well, it's nice to finally have you back home in the studio. Normally, I know Andre chats with you a lot, via Zoom, but how has it been so far?
Well, I just got back a few days ago, and honestly, it's been a whirlwind of a journey. I left Philippines about 5 months ago, and a lot has happened since.
A lot has happened. So now you're back here for a short break. Before you start again with the races and, of course, with the training. What is it that you have enjoyed? Because I know you're leaving tomorrow. So what are the things that you have enjoyed doing here in the Philippines? And, of course, syempre, yung pagkain, kasi napakasarap talaga.
There's no other place really that feels home apart from the Philippines. And yeah, simula nung bumalik ako, wala akong ginawa kundi kumain lang po talaga. Yeah, I went to every Filipino restaurant para kumain lang ng puto, dinuguan, kare-kare. It's really my favorite.
What is it like as a racer? Do you have to be on a certain diet?
Well, it's usually quite strict whenever I'm abroad. You try to eat more carbs or more protein. And of course, when you actually go through a series of races, you lose so much weight. Like when you're driving, you lose so much sweat. You sweat so much when you're driving. So throughout a course of like a race weekend, you lose about 1 to 2 kgs. So you kind of like go up and down. So you try to balance it by eating properly and having the right nutrition. But so yeah, I can't always eat what I want. So whenever I'm home, I try to do it.
There you go. You have to treat yourself every once in a while. You work so hard. The F1 Academy, clearly, this is such a huge step. This is like your ultimate goal, obviously of becoming a Formula One racer. Now, 2 career wins. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
I can't believe it. First Filipina ever under your belt. Of course, a race 2 in Valencia, Spain, back in May. And of course, that dream run in Monza, Italy for race 3 back in July. Okay, we always like to reminisce with you. And I'm sure you wouldn't mind, but take us through again and describe that feeling. In those 2 instances, where you were able to raise the Philippine flag.
Honestly, I'm just thinking about it now, and really, I'm so emotional whenever I do reminisce of the moments. I think it's one thing to actually represent your country, but it's another to be the reason why it's being played in the national stage, like in F1 Academy. We're up there against, the greatest female drivers, in my era. And, to be the only Asian and Southeast Asian up there, I kind of feel at times very, lonely, like a lone soldier. So whenever I have the chance to really show my talent and excel and really represent Philippines in the stage, I'm very honored. And, to have had the chance to really raise the flag in Valencia, Spain, and in Monza, where, for both of those times where I actually won and I brought the champion to Philippines. So, just thinking about those moments, of course, it's very good to win.
Yes.
I think, we try to excel in what we can, but at the same time, I just love to really think about the journey. A lot of people know my story where I didn't really come from a wealthy background. So whenever those moments that I get to win and really excel in a sport that's so male-dominated as well, is definitely like a dream.
You are setting the trail. For other women and for other young ladies that want to aspire to be like you. This is just for the audience to try to understand. Where you've come from. There was the pandemic. You had no races. You were at the verge of wanting to retire, and then you come out of retirement. Never even. Just from go-kart to F3.
Formula 3 and
right?
F4, yes.
And winning right away. That is incredible. You must have this tremendous gift from all the races that you have done so far. We're halfway through. Is that right?
Yes.
Halfway through, a couple more races left, 2 or 1?
One more round.
One more round to go. What is the one thing that you discovered most about yourself and, about all of the races that you have raced?
I think that's like the beauty of being 18 years old is that you really have
And 18. I mean, and 18 to boost. Okay, go.
so yeah, so being 18, you have you think about it currently. I always try to live in the moment and maximize every opportunity. But then I kind of think to myself that I have still such a long road ahead of me. I still have such an amazing life to live, whether I'm racing or not. I hope I am. But thinking about it, that kind of made me realize that not many people get to live the life I live right now. A lot of people dream and aspire to be what I am right now as well. So I always try not to take things for granted. And I think that's the main lesson that racing really taught me, is that, you can't take anything in life, in granted. And you always have to make sure to maximize every opportunity and to be grateful.
Yeah.
I
mean, as you said, a lot of people dream, aspire, look at you, how can I become, a Bianca, but only a few people get to live out their dream. And of course, you have been competing against other, prominent and of course, talented racers all over the world. How would you best describe the level of competition in the F1 Academy? And of course, what makes this so different from all the other racing platforms?
I mean, I think, a lot of people see racing as just nagmamaneho ka lang, lumiliko ka lang. It's just left and right. But people don't realize the amount of training that we have to do, to be able to drive a car that's going 260 kilometers per hour. You need the experience, you need the dedication, you need to discipline yourself to train all the time because of the amount of G-force that we take when we're accelerating and decelerating and all of those things, And those are things I experience when you're younger. I started training when I was 3 years old. That's when I started driving a go-kart. And, through those years, that's when I really just, developed, I think my body kind of morphed into a racing driver, I would say. But,
No fear.
No fear,
No
yeah.
fear at all, right?
Yeah, I think even now I still, do a lot of mental practice apart from the physical side because, we, as racing drivers, we have to be, mentally strong. You need to have the grit. You need to have the mentality. And, whenever you're faced to a difficulty as well.
Well, it seems like you're so built for that. Of course, we're going to talk more about, the training that you had to do to get to where you are now. Our conversation with racer Bianca Bustamante will continue after this quick break. And you're watching Sports Desk on CNN Philippines, where we go all out for the day's top sports stories. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Sports Desk here on CNN Philippines. Now our guest tonight, F1 Academy racer Bianca Bustamante. And of course, you still have, you said you have one more.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to? I mean, the strategies. I mean, what are you most excited about in your upcoming race?
I mean...
And this is going to be in Austin, is that right?
Yes, Austin, Texas. I think, we've kind of finished the first chapter, most of the chapter of the season. We finished our European races, so I'm finally coming home. So this is sort of like my coming home. And so we're headed to Austin to do the final round.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think it's quite tough because I'm like not so sure about, what I'm looking forward to, but I'm trying to just maximize everything and just really learn from it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I know it's quite tough as well because a lot of the competitions are very tough and a lot of the girls are practicing really hard for it as well. So I know that it's going to be quite of a challenge, but I'm really looking forward to it.
I mean, you are now what, ranked 6th in the
Seventh,
whole,
yes.
You're 7th in the whole standing. How far are you in reaching like the top 3?
Well, I think the goal for us is to just finish as high as possible in the standings, but I know that anything is possible as long as that we really push forward for it, and that's what we're doing right now.
I mean, Filipina pride all around. I mean, the Filipinas are also the talk of the town these days, aside from yourself, especially after that historic run in the FIFA Women's World Cup. Of course, they've been such a source of, of inspiration, not only to fans, but of course, for the Gilas Filipinas. How inspired are you by, hearing all of these stories of women, excelling, Filipino women excelling in various sports?
I mean, I just saw the win of the Filipinas when actually I won in Monza. So I think it was kind of inspirational at the same time that we kind of, made our countries proud. So I was really inspired by that.
Okay, and I asked you a little bit before we went on break about the training, because not a lot of people actually, would understand the training that you have to go through. As you said, it's more than just getting into a car and racing and, steering the wheel left and right, no? What type of training would you have to do to get to where you need to go? And of course, you're in this wonderful academy where you do have all that, at your fingertips.
Yeah, I think it's super important to actually always maintain like a really strong balance of knowing when to take a rest and always knowing when to push as well. Like, for example, when you're going to a race, you're always like at the circuit, you're always driving, and I think it gets super draining as well. And there's always moments where you just feel like you're so down and you're so sick, but at the same time, so it's why it's so super important to take a rest when you can.
So you do have physical training. I mean, I saw one interview that you mentioned that you just came from like a 20-kilometer bike or something,
Yes,
bike
yeah.
ride or something like that, right? So you do have the physical aspect. You also have to have the mental training.
Yes, we do. And we do a lot of mental coordination and neurocognitive training to really help us, when we're struggling to a race. It's super important to keep your mental stability throughout the whole race, to keep on fighting until the end.
Do you have any rituals that you do prior to a race? A good luck charm?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I always pray whenever I'm going into a race because, I'm very religious, and I always try to do my best to say to God that, to always keep me safe, because sometimes when you're racing, a lot of things happen that is completely out of your hand. So it's always just, I say just, I let God just take care over me and watch over me throughout the race. And yeah, I always just do the sign of the cross and pray whenever I can.
And of course, speaking of like the scariest moment, you had a few, or one super scary moment, quite recently. How does one overcome that? Was your mom also super nervous, and it's like, I can't believe that's my daughter, But how do you overcome that, and how do you get back, behind the wheel and get excited as you are now in terms of wanting to race again?
It's actually quite tough to mentally get back into it, because when you're experiencing a troubled race, or whenever you have moments like that, it's so hard mentally to bounce back. But that's why it's super important to keep your mental fortitude, I guess, throughout the whole race.
Well, we wish you all the best. I'm sure we're gonna look you up once again in Austin, October. And that's something we have to look forward to. Yes. And we're going to pray with you as well as we cheer you on. Thank you so much for fulfilling your promise to Andre and to us here.
He's not here. Andre's not here.
But thank you so much for joining us here, Bianca. Good luck to you and take care. And of course, as I said earlier, we're going to be speaking with you soon. Thank you. Well, we just spoke with F1 Academy racer Bianca Bustamante.